What's up, guys? Today we are here with the Bruetta tea tumbler. They recently called me and they said, Austin, it's perfect for coffee too. So that's what we're gonna do today. Touch water on the kettle, and I start out with 19 grams of whole bean coffee. Everyone's favorite sound in the morning. With most coffee makers, you have to have a funnel like a V60 with filters, or you have to have a French press or a Chemex, and all of that is expensive. It's complicated, but with the Bruetta, all you have to do is you add your grounds right into the cup. And then with their fine mesh strainer here, acts as a French press for you. So after your water finishes heating up, all you have to do, add it straight in. And you're ready to go. Is there a way to end a coffee commercial?
A lot of y'all have been asking me to help you. I have over 450 DMs of people who want my help. I didn't know how to help all of you until now. I have joined VidSig, V-I-D-S-I-G. You can download the app now and schedule time for me to break bread with you. I can give you advice on your business, whether you're trying to get into the music business, whatever the business is. I believe I have the knowledge and the know-how to at least give you some consultation and some support where you need it to help your business grow. And I'm not just another celebrity on VidSig. I'm now the chief creative consultant for VidSig. So I will be bringing others like me onto the platform to help you. So join VidSig, join me, and join the community. That's V-I-D-S-I-G. Download the app today.
One, two, three.
And now, everybody, MC Serch. MC Serch. MC Serch. MC Serch. MC Serch.
Serch will never stand still. What is going on? It is the other white meat, MC Serch. Thank you for joining us on this, a very special podcast. Man, so much going on in the world. I don't even know where to begin. I got to tell y'all, just even before I start, please support, go to Netflix, watch 137 Shots. Shout out to my man, Lenny Berry. Shout out to my whole team out in Cleveland. Incredibly powerful documentary on the injustice that took place in Cleveland. Let's definitely get into the voting block there and vote out all them idiots that run the district attorney's office, that run all the political craziness that's in that city. So separate that. Really, really, really happy to introduce this person. I'm a big fan of this person that's going to be on the show. Just because I think she's not only funny as fuck, but I think she's an incredibly talented writer. She is someone who I love because she is flexible. I've said this a lot of times. Y'all heard it on this podcast a million times. It's not the strong who survives, it's the flexible. She is like a yogi. She's so flexible. She's a book writer. She is a podcaster. She is a creator of content. You know what? I'm just going to let her do her thing. One time known as Amanda Diva, now Amanda Seales is in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, the incredible Amanda Seales. What up, lady? How are you? You good?
Because I'm at a point now where there's a lot of people in my life that just do not know about Amanda Diva. So hearing that...
Well, that was an incredible part. Let me just tell you something. So I'm really going to mess with your head a little bit. We have something in common that you might not know. I am currently a resident of Orlando, Florida. And my daughter went to Dr. Phillips High School.
Yes! I almost wore my Dr. Phillips hat today. say, I looked at it, DP. DP. Yes.
So, and my daughter, ladies and gentlemen, she's running laps right now.
What y'all know about it?
She is now showing us her diploma, the graduate magna cum laude of Dr. Phillips High School.
Listen.
So my daughter went to the magnet program.
Yes. Oh, wow. It thickens. It thickens.
Yes.
Wow,
So my daughter did not last at the magnet program, and it was fine. It just wasn't a good fit.
Okay.
But I remember I had to pull her out of the school because I remember driving past the school. She was working on a play that they're about to put on.
Uh-huh.
And in the process of putting on the play, I'm just driving past I was on
Turkey Lake Road.
Yeah. And I'm looking in the parking lot because you can see where the program is, the entrance to the program. And my daughter is 15 years old, 16, and she's using power tools.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is my daughter doing using I never taught her how to do it. So we find out later it's probably one of the prerequisites that building something is part of the project.
You better know how to use a Makita.
Right. So, but she didn't have any supervision. Like there was no teacher around. She's just there, 15 years old, being like a hip hop Villa or some shit. And I'm like, nah, this don't work for me. And I talked to my wife and we're both like, yeah, nah, this don't work. So we go to the head of the department and there's these pictures on the wall of all the people that came out of the project. And there you are, dead in center. And I said, oh, wow, Amanda Diva. And she's like, yeah, she's one of us. We claim her as part of the project. And I'm like, part of the project? How you sound like part of the project? So anyway, we wound up pulling her out. My daughter wound up going to Lake Highland and graduating from there. But I just want to know the diversity, obviously, not only from you being, a very proud person of color coming from Grenada. But that whole, for those that don't know, Dr. Phillips is this like kind of middle class, different ilks of people, all of that. Did you feel like you fit in? Was it just a natural fit for you at Dr. Phillips? What is your earlier memories of growing up in Orlando, Florida?
I had a great time. Just saying. Listen, I know adolescence in high school is a time. It's its own journey for everybody. And I'm not saying I didn't get bullied. I'm not saying that there wasn't that I didn't come home like, no boys like me. I went through all the things. Okay. I did all that. I'm not saying I was not teased for being flat chested. I definitely overheard Kenoris White and Scott Cunningham one day talking about my feet, and Kenoris, who I would reroute my path to class if I saw Kenoris. Okay. That's how important he was. I heard him tell Scott, man, Amanda got caveman feet. I did not wear open toe shoes for 2 years. 2 years.
Yo, we might have to step. Yo, there's an APB. We might have to touch him up right now. Like Kenoris, man, we might have to touch you up, man.
You know what? Years later, I got to go on a date with Kenoris. 10 years ago, I got to go on a date with Kenoris, and he was so stank. And he kept making light skin. He kept not making light skin jokes. He just kept saying slick shit about me being light skinned. And I was like, I don't know what is happening here but I
wait a minute. So hold on. So obviously this is what, 10 years later, you graduate high school.
So yeah, I graduated in 99. So this is 10 years later. Yeah.
So you see Kenoris where? How did this happen that you went on a date with Kenoris?
Because and I can't speak for any other class, but my graduating class at DP, we're just tight. And I think because of also, of course, the advancements of social media, we were just able to keep in touch with each other in ways that I feel hadn't been the case for folks older than us. And so I had a homeboy who was his home, Scott Cunningham. Scott and I had stayed friends, and that was the homie. And I had come home for the holidays, and he was like, who's in town? Kenoris. And I was like, oh my God, set it up. It's time. Full circle. You know, last thing Kenora's right, put in my yearbook, you know, hope you have a good son. You're like, you know, the regular, it was nice meeting you, and then it was PS, don't get pregnant. And he was like, if at any point you become sexually active, you know, give me a call.
So this was really like kind of like one of those notch on the belt things for you. It was like, okay, full circle.
This happened. Yes.
Like not only are you really like successful, but you've blossomed as a woman. You probably went out with the open toe shoes. Toes were right. Like you got the manicure, the paraffin wax, all of that.
Yes. This is actually, you know what? This wasn't 10 years ago. This was 2015. I just remembered because he was mad because when I got there, I needed him to wait a little bit because I was on the phone with my agent and she was in China. And so I needed to talk to her because like the time difference was so crazy. And this was like the opportune time to get to talk to her. And I was like, you know, can you just wait for me a little bit? And he felt some type of weight that, you know, oh, you all big time now. I got to wait for you to talk to your agent, you know. Long story short, nothing materialized out of that. But Dr. Phillips was actually, Dr. Phillips was an incredibly diverse experience. We were called Gucci High. And
wait, did you say you were called Gucci High?
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
We were featured in YM, Young and Modern magazine. And whenever you saw movies like She's All That and Clueless, etc., like that's what DP was like. Like we had an open campus. You could eat wherever you wanted on campus. And I got to tell you, like I always talked about how like you could map out like, okay, this is where we say this is Africa. So that's where the Black kids sat. And then right on the other side of that wall were the preps. So that was the drunk, actually, specifically the drunk preps, because they used to have keggers and the Black kids wasn't into all of that. So there was drunk preps and you had like the Christian athletes, then you had the Puerto Ricans, and you had the wannabe Puerto Ricans, because that was a whole different group. And you had like the Lilith Fair.
So basically the wannabe Puerto Ricans were light-skinned white people. So anyway, continue. I'm sorry. Yes.
With an aesthetic. Right. So it was an aesthetic too. Like
white people with an effect on their voice. Yes.
Yes. Right. And trying to have an S curl, you know, and like really trying to give you FUBU at all times and whenever possible, like, you know, just Tommy Hilfiger. Like, hey, we get it. You're urban.
And there was no ER at the end of Hilfiger.
No.
Figure. Yeah.
Yes.
It was Hilfiger.
It was definitely a thing.
Tommy Hilfiger. Yeah. Okay. I'm very familiar with those types of people. Yeah. Anyway.
But I mean, I was a drama geek, but then I had a homegirl who used to sit in Africa. So then like I would come and sit with her, and you know, I had drunk preps that I was friends with from, you know, middle school and elementary school. And my school, you know, DP had a really great athletic program. It had a really great magnet for Center for International Studies. And then it had the Visual and Performing Arts magnet. And we used to really be on some fame shit. Like we would be in singing in the middle of lunch. Like we would just set up mics and be like, this is what we're doing today. And no one ever, like I never felt the shame of being a theater geek. We were celebrities. Like, okay, maybe that's taking it far, but we were respected. Like it was not corny to be in theater when I was at DP. Like it was very lauded and respected, and we won mad shit. I come from a dynasty, and I was a big part of keeping that dynasty going in my time there. We would do in-school performances, and, you know, people would come to see our shows. And we were a high school, and we were doing 5 shows a year. Like that's not normal. So a lot of people, I feel like they'll ask me like, Amanda, how are you so driven? Amanda, how are you able to be a multi-hyphenate? How are you able to get so many things done? I mean, and a lot of it has to do with my upbringing and, you know, culturally, and just like the way my mother, you know, attuned me. And then of course my own personal just things that I was born with, but also the discipline I learned in being in that program.
Right.
And having to, and being a part of a program where the bench was so deep that you had to really like be on point if you were trying to be cast, if you were trying to be in the mix of things. Like I laugh at you talking about your daughter with power tools, because I'm like, yes, to this day, when I go into Home Depot, I'm comfortable.
Right.
I'm comfortable because James Gooch and John Garbus was like, you need to go and make that flat. And this is how you do it. And then, if you were uncomfortable with things and people would teach you, like I wasn't over there with the table saw, but if I needed, but I've mitered some wood now. I have mitered some wood, but I just feel like there was an independence that I also learned there that I think, as a parent, I can understand why you're like, no, like this is unsafe, but it gave me the ability now to, as an adult, be able to I can say that I learned from that program that I can make anything happen.
No, and also, I think it's also your background, and I've known about this from the people I grew up with, because, I come from New York. I went to an art school. I went to High School of Music and Art, which became LaGuardia School of the Arts. So I understand that competitiveness. I went to school with Slick Rick and Dana Dane and Jennifer Aniston and, Mark Pitts, who went to manage Big E and, Changing Faces. So I get all that. Like you had to rise to the top. So I get
but you
that.
have to also be creative.
Yeah,
so here's the thing. It wasn't just, and when I say creative, I don't just mean creative like, imaginative. Like, I didn't get picked for this, so it was a big deal, Serch. It was a big deal that every year we had a competition, okay? And it was a districts competition, then it was state competition, and DP, we had like a shining record. And everyone's goal every year was, are you going to continue the fucking record? And we had like ensemble acting, and we had group musical. Those were like group musical. We had like a 10-year monopoly on. I mean, it was like we had a.
I remember because you had the regionals and then you had states. So you had the state thespians. All my kids acted and were in states, and both
very
individual,
important.
right? And when my kids went to, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but when my kids went to high school, Lake Highland, like. It was Orange, it was DP. And when my kids started to go to Lake Highland, that's when also Lake Highland started to really, get into the mix of that. Like, and I understand that, totally understand that. Sorry.
I mean, it was like Friday Night Lights level at DP for us, for theater.
Oh, no doubt. No, I get that. But also, do you think a lot of that also comes from that? Obviously you had, family that, you're very proud of your roots from Grenada, but there's also this Caribbean thing, right? Where it's like culturally, like you don't, pardon my French, but you don't fuck around. Like when you have Caribbean parents are like, yo, you're not getting shit for free. Like work for that shit. Like, so do you think that was also kind of a driving factor that your parents were, had this background, even though your father was African-American, you had this deep Caribbean roots? Because I know how proud you are of having, family and coming from Grenada.
I mean, to be honest, I feel like I just came out the womb with it. Like I didn't have to get taught that. Like I was just I've just been about it like my whole life. Like even when we would play school, I was about it. You know what I mean? Like it was like, I'm the teacher. These are your seating assignments. Like, I mean, I know I was an insufferable child to other kids. Cause like, who is this bitch? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're done for the day. But I just feel like I was also around other kids that had that type of upbringing too. And I think we were just all grown in the mindset of like, I won't even say succeeding. It was like if you're not trying your best, like get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like that. And so that was always just like an incredibly important expectation. And I just always expected that of myself. And so, I mean, like when I was saying about creative, it's like I didn't get a part in the group musical, and it was devastating. And I think most kids would have just been devastated, and that would have been that. But I was like devastated. And then I was like, fuck that. I'm going to do my own group musical. And I was a junior, and that was like, who do you think you are? I mean, it was very, she's out of line. Right. And we won.
That's amazing. Mazel tov to you. That's dope. I gotta, you know what? I'm sorry, but I'm sitting here going, I really don't, and I'm sorry, I'm harping on this a little bit, like on some father shit. Like, I don't like when dudes, I'm going back to Cornelius real quick. I don't like when dudes like go out with somebody and then they try to like break a woman down by disrespecting them, thinking that like that's a way to make them feel some type of way about themselves, to like then build them up. Like, you know, they're going to say,
it's some pimp shit sometimes, but in his case,
that's some real bitch shit.
A lot of times,
real, like, and I don't mean to say that like.
No, I mean it's just,
you know what I'm saying, like, you know, but that's like really like corny, like that's some.
But let me tell you, you dealing with that dating, if you're in this business, you're dealing with that with agents, with managers. You know, like there's an energy of always trying to make you feel like. Not always, because there's great people, but there's also people who just like, they get their value in making you feel valuable. And for some people, their twisted mindset is, I need to make you feel invaluable. I mean, I need to make you feel worthless in order for my value to have anything of worth.
Any worth.
And then also some people are just insecure. And so like they're just projecting. And then you have
and that's a really good pivot right there, because I want to talk about insecure, but I do want to just kind of go to, you know, after Orlando, the one thing you and my youngest daughter have in common is you both went to school in New York. My daughter went to NYU, you went to SUNY. What was it like leaving Orlando and then going to SUNY and going to New York? And what was that experience like for you, you know, coming from Florida and going, you know, to SUNY and kind of being in that atmosphere?
Well, I had went to New York on a trip when I was 12 with my aunt and my mom. And I had decided at that point that was where I was from, and I was simply displaced. I
know that feeling.
I was like, so the rest of my like young life was about getting back to there. Cause it was like, I felt as if I was, I'm an alien. Like this, like it made me, it's like when I found comedy. When I found comedy, it was like, I have been an alien everywhere else. And I found my home. Like I found my tribe. When I went to New York when I was 12, I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And so thus I need to do everything in my power to get back here. And that's what I did. And when I went to Purchase, it was my dream to go to Purchase. It was the number 2 school in the nation behind Juilliard. Actually, I got into NYU, but Purchase at the time was like the one. I had friends who were already at Purchase. It was mind blowing to me that there were men, they were like grown men. I was like, these people look like grown men here.